Welcome back to Airstream Expeditions. This week, Erica and I returned to one of our favorite desert destinations, Anza-Borrego Desert State Park. But this time, we mixed things up. New campsite, new trails, new challenges, and a whole lot of surprises. Temperatures in the high 80s in mid-November, incredible night skies, and exploring remote desert roads with only our two-wheel drive pickup truck. Stick around because this return trip reminded us why coming back to a place often unlocks a whole new adventure. We kicked off our trip at Borrego Canyon Campground once again. But unlike our last visit in January of 2023 where we stayed in the quieter dry camping loop, this time we tried the full hookup loop. Here's my honest breakdown. Having full hookups in the desert felt incredible, especially with temperatures reaching between 85 to 90 degrees every single afternoon. Running the Airstream's AC without worrying about batteries was definitely a luxury. But the trade-off? Full hookup sites are closer together, have more noise, and feel a lot less private than the sites between 90 and 120 in the dry loop. If solitude is your priority, stick with the dry camping area. But if comfort and convenience are top of list, hookups are definitely the way to go. The campground has all the amenities you can think of. Clean flush toilets, hot showers, potable water spigots throughout, picnic tables and shade ramadas at each site, fire rings with grills, a well-maintained dump station at the campground entrance, and a ranger station nearby. Another perk for RV campers is that you can walk directly from your site to the famous Borrego Canyon trailhead, one of the park's signature hikes. No need to move the truck, just step outside and go. Overall, if you're looking for comfort, hookups, and convenience to town and the visitor center, the full hookup loop is perfect. If you're looking for quiet, dark skies, and a more immersive desert experience, the dry loop will always be our top recommendation. Before we move on, let's talk timing. The best time to visit Anza-Borrego is late fall through early spring. Cool days, crisp nights, and those perfect desert skies. Summer here is brutally hot, triple digits, so always plan your visit during the cooler months. After setting up camp, we headed over to the Anza-Borrego Visitor Center, one of the most impressive visitor centers in the state. It's actually built underground, keeping the building cool while blending into the surrounding desert. The Visitor Center garden is a living display of native plants such as ocotillo, cholla, beavertail cactus, creosote, brittlebush, and basically everything you'll encounter on your hikes. It also happened to be Archaeology Day, a day themed honoring the people. The center was filled with cultural demonstrations such as traditional bird singers and dancers, basket weaving demonstrations, storytelling, native artisans selling baskets, educational booths, in-person field trips, plus the Archaeology Lab was open for tours, something that only happens once a year. Back in January of 2023, we explored the remote backcountry with California Overland Desert Excursions. They picked us up in a military-style high-clearance 4x4 and took us to incredible spots such as the calcite mine Slot Canyon, San Andreas Fault, Clark Dry Lake Bed, the Slot, and Vista del Mal Pais, which is an awesome vista point where you can see all of the Badlands, similar to Fonts Point, but just from a different angle. We booked another tour for this trip, but a few days later, Joe, the owner of the company, called me personally. He explained very apologetically that he had to temporarily halt operations due to skyrocketing insurance premiums. Devastating, but understandable. So here we were, excited to explore, but with only our two-wheel drive pickup truck. Inside the visitor center, we pulled a ranger aside and we asked what we could safely do without getting stuck. Her answer? She unfolded a map and said, "I've got something perfect for you." She recommended the Triangle Tour, a self-guided loop that you can do with a two-wheel drive truck as long as you go slow and have decent clearance. She encouraged us to air down our tires if we hit soft sand and to take it slow through the washes and enjoy the scenery. She highlighted 4 major stops: the William Kenyon Overlook Trail, the Cactus Loop Trail, the Mine Wash Village, and the Narrows Earth Trail. All scenic, all educational, and doable with a two-wheel drive truck. So we headed back to camp, had an early dinner, went to bed early because we had to wake up before sunrise for our full day of adventure. Our first stop was at the William Kenyon Overlook Trail, located at the Yaqui Pass Primitive Camp, just off Highway S3. When you pull into the primitive camp, just drive to the end of the lot, park your vehicle, and the trail sign is right there at the start of the hike. We started at gray light just before the sunrise, when the air is cool and crisp. Hiking at that hour was peaceful. Quiet desert air, soft colors, and native plants like creosote, yucca, ocotillo, and cholla gently glowing in the early morning light. The trail is short, a little bit more than a half a mile round trip, but very rewarding. Once you reach the overlook, you're treated to sweeping views of the San Felipe Wash, Sunset Mountain, and the distant Piñon Mountains. It's the perfect spot for photography and videography, especially at sunrise. The textures, the shadows, and the desert layers create an amazing backdrop. A great way to start the Triangle Tour. Our second stop was the Cactus Loop Trail. Known for its incredible cactus blooms during peak season, barrel cactus, teddy bear cholla, beaver tail cactus, and more. But when we visited, the desert was pretty dry and most of the cactus weren't blooming, so we skipped the loop this time. Right across the street, however, is the Tamarisk Grove Campground, so we took a few minutes to check it out. This campground offers dry camping only, shaded sites under the tamarisk trees, flush toilets and hot showers. You have your standard picnic tables, ramadas, and fire rings. However, there's also rustic cabins available for rent for those who aren't into tent camping. It's peaceful and quiet and great for smaller RVs or tents. Our third stop was the Mine Wash Village, and this ended up being one of the most meaningful and memorable parts of the entire Triangle Tour. This area blends desert scenery, cultural history, and a sense of quiet solitude that's hard to find anywhere else. To get there, you just turn off Highway 78. You have to go pretty slow because there's just a small sign and it's easy to pass. Once you make a right, you follow the sandy wash that winds gently between the low desert hills. It's not technical, but the sand can get soft in certain places, so we took our time and kept our speed low. The ranger had told us earlier if it feels soft to air down, and having our Viair portable air compressor with us always gives us the confidence to explore areas just like these. Whether you're adjusting your tire pressure for traction or airing back up before returning to the pavement, the Viair has become one of our most essential pieces of travel gear. I'll include an affiliate link in the description that supports our channel at no added cost to you if you ever want to pick one up. As we made our way deeper into the wash, the scenery opened up into a broad desert basin surrounded by rugged hills of granite and metamorphic rock. This landscape has been shaped over millions of years by erosion, flash floods, and tectonic uplift, and you can really see those layers exposed around you. The Mine Wash is more than just a scenic spot. It's a place of deep cultural importance. This wash was once home to the Kumeyaay seasonal village, and if you take your time and look closely at the landscape, it still holds traces of their presence. Along with the interpretive trail, you can find morteros that are carved deeply into the granite boulders where families used to grind seeds and acorns and desert plants. You'll find these slick, grinding surfaces worn perfectly smooth from centuries of use. The interpretive signs here do a great job of explaining how the Kumeyaay people lived seasonally, traveling with the weather, harvesting desert plants at specific times of year, and making use of everything the land provided. The plant life here is diverse as well. We saw creosote, brittlebush, desert lavender, and even clusters of agave and cholla. The wash itself is bordered by rolling hills and large granite boulders that makes the whole area feel protected and quiet. The Mine Wash felt like stepping into another time. It was hands down one of our favorite stops of the whole trip. Our final stop of the Triangle Tour was the Narrows Earth Trail, a short but really interesting interpretive walk that shows how the desert landscape has been shaped over time. The trail is only about a half-mile round trip, but it takes you through a narrow passage where tilted sediment layers are exposed on both sides. You can see how erosion, flash floods, and shifting fault lines have carved and lifted these layers, creating a canyon that feels like a mini geology lesson. As you walk through the narrows, the canyon walls get closer together and you can see smooth curves, sharp cuts, and textured surfaces shaped entirely by water. It's a simple trail, but a great place to slow down, look at the rock formations, and really appreciate how quickly the desert can change after a storm. It's also a beautiful spot for photography, especially in the morning or late afternoon when the light brings out different colors in the rock. Overall, it's a quick and easy stop, but a surprisingly scenic one, and a perfect way to wrap up the Triangle Tour. After a morning of adventure, we worked up an appetite and stopped at Borrego Springs at Michael's. It's located at Christmas Circle, which is the center hub of Borrego Springs. We had great food, friendly service, and the perfect break before heading back to camp. Anza-Borrego is also a very popular place for stargazing. You can see everything out here, so we enjoyed the spectacular night sky for about an hour before turning out. After a good night's rest, we started day 3 with a slow drive to Galleta Meadows, home to the famous Ricardo Breceda metal sculptures that are scattered all across Borrego Springs. Even if you've seen photos of these sculptures, nothing compares to pulling up to them in person. They're huge, incredibly detailed, and they blend into the desert. On this trip, we saw a prehistoric bird, a giant scorpion, and grasshopper frozen in mid-battle, but our favorite sculpture was the massive serpent dragon that stretches across both sides of the road. After enjoying the sculptures, we head up to Giorgio Road and made our way towards Coyote Canyon, one of the most rewarding and diverse areas of Anza-Borrego. As soon as you enter the canyon, there's a small pullout on the right side with an interpretive sign that explains the history, geology, and ecology of the canyon. It's a great quick stop to get your bearings and understand what lies ahead of you as you make your way deeper into the desert. From there, the dirt road begins gently, but it doesn't take long before you hit stretches where the sand can get soft. We kept our speed low and steady, ready to air down if needed. Almost immediately, we noticed something different about this area. The ocotillos here were noticeably greener than in other parts of the park. Their long stems were full, healthy, and topped with bright red and orange blossoms. The reason? Natural underground springs in the canyon provide moisture to the soil, allowing the vegetation to thrive even when the rest of the desert is dry. A little farther up the road, we stopped at the Desert Garden, another small pullout with an interpretive sign, a couple of picnic tables, and a short loop trail. It was about 90 degrees that afternoon, which is unusually warm for mid-November. So we took a break at the picnic bench that we found above the small little hill overlooking the valley. We enjoyed a snack, cold drinks, and the sweeping views from the top of the small rise. The stillness of the canyon mixed with that subtle breeze made it one of those moments you'll never forget. As we continued deeper into the canyon, we noticed several primitive camping pullouts along the dirt road. Simple flat areas with enough space for a few vehicles and a small RV. A few of them had metal fire rings, and there were maybe 3 or 4 of these spots in total. I marked them on my GPS because I know they'd be great spots for future trips here to Anza-Borrego. Eventually, we reached the first of the river crossings. The water was shallow during our visit, and the crossings were easy in our 2-wheel drive truck. Still, it felt adventurous driving through the flowing water with the mountains in the background. There were 2 more crossings after that, all shallow, all fun, and surrounded by lush green vegetation. Eventually, we reached the end of the accessible road where a metal gate blocked further travel due to storm damage from the last rain event. We turned around from there and headed back to camp. Exploring Coyote Canyon for the first time was easily one of the highlights of the trip. Between the greenery, the water crossings, and the scenic pullouts, as well as the feeling of being surrounded by a living desert, it quickly became one of our favorite spots to visit in Anza-Borrego. We absolutely cannot wait to come back. Coyote Canyon left such a strong impression on us that we decided to return one more time before leaving Anza-Borrego. On our final morning before checking out and heading up the mountain to Julian, we woke up at 4:30 a.m. and drove back out to the same picnic bench overlooking the canyon. We sat down, poured some hot coffee, and watched the first light of the day illuminate the surrounding hills and the vibrant green ocotillos. It was one of those quiet, peaceful desert moments that feels almost unreal. After taking in the sunrise, we headed back to camp, hitched up the Airstream, and began our journey towards our next stop, Julian, where we'd be spending one night before heading home. We arrived at Julian Farm and Orchard, one of our favorite Harvest Host locations. Peaceful, scenic, and convenient to Wynola and Julian. Right now, Harvest Host is offering 30% off first-year memberships, their biggest sale of the year. Our link is in the description, automatically includes the discount, and supports the channel at no additional cost. Once we settled in at Julian Farm and Orchard, we took a few steps next door and we had lunch at Heroes, where we ordered some pizza and smash burgers and enjoyed this beautiful 75-degree day. After lunch at Heroes, we headed over to Mom's Pie House, one of Julian and Wynola's most iconic stops. The bakery smells incredible the moment you walk in. Fresh apple pie, warm spices, and shelves full of pastries and seasonal treats. What made this visit extra special was their outdoor herb garden courtyard behind the bakery. It's a peaceful, tucked away spot surrounded by planters filled with rosemary, lavender, mint, basil, and other fragrant herbs. We grabbed a table, enjoyed a slice of pie, and relaxed as the late afternoon sun cast a warm golden light across the courtyard. It was the perfect, quiet moment to end the day. This trip was a beautiful reminder that coming back to a place doesn't repeat the adventure, it expands it. Every return visit reveals something new. A trail you didn't have time for the last time you visited, a viewpoint you never noticed, or a peaceful moment you didn't know you needed. Even with last-minute changes like our canceled backcountry excursion, we were still able to explore, adapt, and discover places we didn't even know existed during our first trip. Some of the highlights of this adventure weren't even planned at all, and that's the magic of traveling in an Airstream. Whether it was watching the desert glow at sunrise in Coyote Canyon, exploring the ancient Kumeyaay village sites at the mine wash, stumbling on peaceful picnic stops in the desert garden, or relaxing in the herb-filled courtyard at Mom's Pie House. This trip gave us reminders of why we love returning to Anza-Borrego. We hope this inspires you to come explore this incredible desert for yourself, or revisit a place you've already been to and see it with fresh eyes. Thanks for joining us on Airstream Expeditions, and if you've enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and check out the links in the description. We'll see you on the next adventure.